Hi everyone, this is Tyler Constable with Avantra, and welcome to the Automations training video. And here we're going to start talking about how we can take some of those checks and things of that nature and let them go find something that's occurring and go take action. And that go take action is what we're going to build out. So maybe it's starting and stopping public cloud servers, databases, SAP systems, maybe it's taking scripts, maybe it's taking all that together and building out an orchestration where it can go through and just do all kinds of things for you. So looking forward to showing you around.
To begin, when you log in, you will see a screen similar to this. The first thing we can do is, or first thing we'll talk about is the different types of scripting platforms that are available. So we'll go to our custom checks. We'll select new. And just for this example here, I'm going to go to databases. And there are three different types of queries we can run. First off, we've got a SQL query, which means you can go in and run different things at the database layer. You can run from a program. So whether it's an OS level command, maybe you've got a shell script you can bring into Avantra or run it on the operating system. We can do some very powerful things here. This could be SAP or non-SAP related. And same with Run.js, which is the JavaScripting platform. So if you're familiar with JavaScripting, you can do things scripting outside of SAP. You could even do things calling back in to an ABAP-based system. So if you know the BAPI, you can call in through an RFC and call that BAPI as well. So very, very powerful in what you can do and what you can automate. So to tie those together with an issue going on, again, one of the checks will go into some kind of failure mode. From here, we go into what's called our notifications. Our notifications in Avantra are more than just email and text message notifications. Essentially, you tie an action. The action is a backup failed. So here, this is kind of going back to our notifications. And here you'll see the different backup types, backup checks. So the backup check goes into a critical status, as you see here, and that's going to tie to a channel. And that channel, maybe to go run a backup. Maybe the backup failed, you want to run the backup again. So here we have a script set to go run that backup. So that's just the first level, essentially trigger-based automation. This is very, very simplistic at this point, but still very, very powerful. The different types of channels that there are in notifications are, creating an email, creating a text message. Again, please be sure to watch the notification training session to find out more about that. But also when it comes to automation, some of these others become more relevant. So you can call REST, SOAP, and GraphQL APIs, starting and stopping of systems. Maybe it's running a command at the OS layer, or we can get into what's called our automations, which we'll touch on in just a few minutes. But prior to doing that, you can also run starting and stopping of SAP systems in maintenance windows. So again, if you've not already done so, please be sure to watch the maintenance window training session where you actually see how to do starting and stopping of SAP systems directly in a maintenance window. So you can see the maintenance window is here. We're going to set up the maintenance window, and then there are the stop behaviors. And this is where you can come in and select what you want to do. Stop the systems. Again, you'll define what the systems are here as you did in the maintenance window. You can actually run to stop the system 1 minute in and start the SAP system maybe 10 minutes prior to the end of the maintenance window. That could also be the public cloud servers as well. So a couple different scenarios you may think of this become very, very valuable. Now, above and beyond this, we get into what's called our automations. And this is really the automation engine within Avantra. So here we've got a couple different scenarios, but we're going to build one out from scratch. And let's say we just want to, in this scenario, stop our SAP systems. We've got some kind of maintenance window periodically, or maybe on the weekends we stop our non-SAP, non-production systems to help save on cloud costs. It could be multiple things. So our automation section has now come up. I'm going to make this full screen by selecting our undock button. And you'll see here, we've got our job definition and job executions. So first we need to define what we're going to do. And the job steps here is where we do that. So the first thing we're going to do, as an example here, let's say we're going to stop our BW systems. So it's very, very simple. You hit our drop down here, and here's all the different things we can do. Okay, we can start the SAP system. And again, that's just the SAP system. We can just do the database. We can do the SAP system and database. We can get into HANA and the HANA platform. And then of course we get into stopping the SAP system, database, and servers. So for this example, we can get into just HANA, just instances, business objects, just cloud servers. So even non-SAP public cloud servers, we can start and stop. Waiting for different statuses, looking at process counts, looking at process lists, get a list of SAP instances, run an OS command, SSH. Again, this is where we can start to do OS patching, bring down SAP, bring down the database. If you got a script to run patches, you can do that. JavaScripting. You can even do an event as well. So an SAP event ID. So again, very, very powerful. But for this example, we're just going to simply stop the SAP system, database, and server. So the public cloud server as well. So we're going to keep monitoring on for this. And we're going to stop the BW system. Let's do our non-production system here. And then we're going to go out and we can use a system selector as well. So if you're familiar with the system selectors, you can easily do that. So you don't have to go through and define these all the time. And if this first step fails, we can have it do a couple different things. Have it continue on to the second step, completely stop this entire workbook process, retry this, or wait. So for this example, I'm just going to do a retry, and you'll see we've got some other criteria here that we can select as well. So I'll hit apply, and you'll see my first step has been added. I've just got one system. I could add multiple systems, but really it's just going to bring down that BW system and then stop if it's not going to work. I can also add another. So let's say now we can say the description. Let's say the next one is stop just the SAP system and database, but not the server. Right? So now simply just select stop SAP system and database. Again, my criteria all come out again. So soft timeouts. Do I want to inform the users? Sure, I'll send a message to the users in SAP. So the SAP system will alert the users that the system's coming down. And we're just going to select the systems we want to bring down. Now, if this one fails, again, I've got my option as to what I want to do. If this one fails, we'll just stop, right? Just as an example here. So now my BW system's coming down. I've got a handful of ECC systems coming down. And now let's say SAP systems come down. Again, I have not stopped the public cloud server yet. Maybe I want to go out and run a script to kill a certain process. Maybe there's a third-party application that's out there that I want to make sure I stop before the server comes down. So I'm just going to run a stop or a kill a process. So this is going to come down here. I'm going to go to my SSH down at the bottom here. So I can actually execute a script. Now I'm just going to copy that script that I have right in here. If I need credentials, I can configure the credentials within Avantra's credentials configuration. And then I'm just going to select what server I want it to run on. If this fails, we'll just have it continue on as an example. So the last thing I need to do now is stop the servers that these are on. So after this process is stopped, I'm just going to stop those servers. And I'll just come down here to stop cloud server. Just select my server. Again, I've got some more criteria of what I want to do. And we'll just do apply. So here you can see this is a pretty simple example, but there's some very, very powerful things you can do by adding different scripts, having different JavaScripts by being able to start and stop SAP systems and servers. And of course, if anything fails, you can set up a mail here. So whatever email you'd like, if something fails, you want to make sure you know about it. Maybe you're setting up a maintenance window for your infrastructure team, and you want to make sure that all the SAP systems are coming down correctly. Set up a notification if something fails. There's a couple different ways we can trigger this automation. We can just select execute up here and manually do this. So maybe this is good for, if you're not sure if you actually want to have Avantra schedule it, you just, before you leave for the day, you want to come in here and select execute, you can easily do that. You can edit via a schedule. So you can come in here and select edit schedule. You'll see that there's a non-reoccurrent. So this is, this Friday at whatever time, I'll kick it off. Or if this is reoccurring, right? So maybe this is monthly. Maybe this is something that's going to happen every third Saturday of the month. And I can set the time that it's going to start and all that as well. The last way we can do this is the way we were just discussing when we were in our notifications. So again, we can manually execute it, have it scheduled, or from our notifications within the channel, you can actually have it be triggered. So here I can select my automation. This is the stop SAP automation and select finish. And in here, I just select that automation that we just created. So essentially, whatever action we want to have happen can go out and select an automation channel here. A couple other things on automations before we build out a larger thing here is we can actually look to see how these are acting. So you can select job executions. Let's go into one that's maybe got some. So here I'm in a different example. This is an OS patching example where we're showing out SAP systems. We're running a script to run patch OSs, and then we're rebooting and bringing everything back up again. So this is rebooting on an on-premise server. So we're just using an SSH to reboot, have it come back up. I can go into my job executions and actually see how it's going. So here it looks like something failed here. I can double click in and get more information as to each individual step that was occurring and why it failed. So here we can see that at this time there was no agent in this particular environment. So there's a couple different things we can do to make sure that these all work okay, and you can get details as well. So a very, very detailed environment as to what is happening in this environment. So now let's kind of put things all together. By now you should be familiar with composite checks. We're obviously familiar with spawning things via notification and then running an automation. So let's say we have a scenario here. Let's kind of start from the beginning. We're going to take a composite check, and I've got one started here. And let's say for this particular composite check, I'm going to say espresso. And again, please make sure you watch the composite check training if you've not already done so. And let's say we just have some things where we've got a scenario where if maybe a lot of jobs are failing and the workload of the SAP system is not behaving very well, right? So perhaps jobs, maybe there's, batch jobs failing, running long, what have you. And workload, say there's not enough work processes. So in this scenario, what we're saying is if just one of these things occurs, we don't care about it, right? Maybe some work processes, not enough work processes. Okay, fine, we'll just let that go. Maybe it'll work itself out. Or if just batch jobs are running long, not a big deal, or a lot of jobs are failing, not a big deal. However, if work processes are filling up and jobs are failing, now it's a problem. So I'm going to come into my thing here and just say, all right, so if two of these are critical, and if just one happens, it doesn't matter, but if both are critical, we're going to turn the whole thing critical, right? So I now have my custom check. I'm now going to go into my notification. And all I have to do is just add a new notification for checks. So you can say, work processes, what have you. And as you go through, you're familiar with defining the check selector and all of that. We probably don't have to go through that in this particular one if you're familiar with notifications. And then we're just going to assign that to a channel. As you say, we have a channel that would be maybe start up an additional instance. Again, we would have the automation tied to the channel, as we discussed earlier. And now we'll just go into the automation and simply have an automation that is start app server. And essentially, first thing I'm going to do is start public cloud server. So I'll just come in here and say start the cloud server, select which server it is I want to have come up. And now I've got a pre-built SAP application server. And in this case, it would just be the start SAP instance. Again, so this is perhaps additional application server that we've got sitting off to the side. So now we're going to have that trigger right off of what we just built. So pretty simply here, in just a few minutes, kind of once you get to know how the composite checks work and how notifications work and how the automations work, you can tie them all together. And within just a few minutes here, within a few seconds, we've said, all right, if there's not enough work processes and a lot of jobs are failing, we're going to go ahead and trigger off this automation, which essentially is going to go out and start an additional public cloud server, or the one that's actually off to the side sleeping, I should say, and bring up that sleeping application server. And now we have that fully automated. So just as a recap, in this session, we covered the different types of scripts that are available to be on the Avantra platform, automations through notifications or trigger-based automations, starting and stop capabilities, whether it's SAP, SAP database, and or the public cloud server. And then we kind of put it all together in a very simplistic yet very easy scenario where we put those multiple checks together as a single unit, tied it together trigger-based through notification, tied it through an automation to have it all work together.